YouTube, what is up, y'all? My name is Justin. Today, like I promised y'all, today I'm going to talk to you about my first 2 weeks with Warframe and what that overall experience has been like, because yes, it has been an experience. That is the best word to use. I've heard a lot about this game from when I was a Destiny 2 player, spent a couple thousand hours into that game, but after the final shape, I needed something new, and it looks like I may have found my new game. So, before we get into that, drop a like, comment, or a sub if you like what you see here today. I am a new content creator, so any support is greatly appreciated. But let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Now, I'm sure that many of you watching this video already have a tentative grasp on what Warframe is, but perhaps there's somebody watching who has never even played Warframe before. So, before we get into my overall experience and my discoveries over my 2 weeks spent here with the game, I think it's important to address maybe what exactly is Warframe. It's been described to me in the past as a third-person looter shooter, and while that is not an inaccurate description, it is a lacking description, most definitely. It is so much more. It is a movement paradise, a parkour enthusiast's dream, a buildcrafting powerhouse, a mathematician's wet dream, and of course it is all wrapped up in a super compelling story driven by cinematic cutscenes, banger music, and thought-provoking lore. Oh yeah, and let's not forget to mention that it's also a hunting, fishing, mining, dating simulator with a Tony Hawk Pro Skating minigame and a completely optional pirate space combat, plus lots of other cool stuff like basically a futuristic jetpack, skateboard, Iron Man suit, pets or companions, and even a motorcycle. Oh yeah, not to mention there is a in-game marketplace, a super friendly and awesome community, including the developers, as well as a ton, and I mean a ton, of customization. So, if you haven't played Warframe, that's kind of the basic general thoughts that I've come to see in the past 2 weeks. So, too long didn't watch, haven't tried it, go try it out for yourself. I'm sure that there will be something that you will find to enjoy. Without even knowing anything about this game, other than it just being the third-person looter shooter that I really hadn't heard too much about, and hearing about it in Destiny circles and Division circles, I booted it up, and then I was greeted by this cutscene, and yeah, I was captivated. Instantly, I knew that I wanted to play Excalibur. So, I chose him, and the addiction started. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, right, there's just beautiful cinematics done with the storytelling of this game. Now, didn't clearly have an idea of what was going on in the story just starting, because this is the very first cutscene that you see. But as these continue on, and as you get deeper and deeper into the story, the quality remains, and it is an incredibly captivating experience, just cinematically. They have done an incredible job with all of these. So before I transition to the other things that I was captivated by that I rattled off earlier in this video, I think it's important to just kind of go over where I have ended up after this 2-week experience here. As I said, I kind of treated this like a second full-time job, so I've got a decent amount of progression to allow me to experience a lot of different things in this game, and there's still so much more that I'm sure I have yet to experience, so that is going to be exciting. So as you can see, I made it all the way up here to Mastery Rank 11, and as far as the star chart progression, I have made it through 237 out of 237 nodes, so there's still a few things I have left to do from other quests, but I do have access to Steel Path, and as far as all of the main quests go, I have completed all of the main quests up until 1999, as well as the side quests. So, back to the captivating things that really got me hooked in this game early on throughout this first couple of weeks here. First off being the movement. The movement in this game is incredible, just hands down. I started out playing on controller. Now, I've been a controller player for most of my life and haven't really adopted mouse and keyboard yet. But this game has gotten me to actually switch over to M&K, and I'm incredibly grateful because being able to combo your movement in the way that you can on mouse and keyboard in this game is super fun to play. It is incredibly fluid and just wonderful, hands down. Not much more to say on that other than the movement is just wonderful, and I cannot get enough of it. But moving on to the next portion of what I love so much is the build crafting and variety. As I said before, that this isn't the typical looter shooter that I had imagined that based off being. However, as somebody who absolutely loved playing the Division 1, build crafting has always been pretty near and dear to my heart. And the mod variety that is available in this game is nothing short of spectacular. I believe that there's over 1,000 different mods in this game, varying from your weapon mods to your Warframe mods to mods that specifically will change a augment of an ability of a Warframe. Not to mention just, I think there's over 60 plus different Warframes to play, and they all have, something a little bit different to offer. It's just incredible, hands down, the amount of modding capability that is in here, and it seems like the build variety is something that is nearly infinite at this point. At least if you haven't, delved into it like I have. There is a ton of content that you could work your way through, just experimenting with different builds, and that is something that I am highly looking forward to. So, staying along that same subject here with build crafting, modding, boy oh boy, if you like math, this is a game for you. I am myself not a mathematician or a big math nerd, but if that is your subject at heart and you enjoy it, I will put some footage up on screen of, I believe it's a content creator named Kai that I was watching, of a breakdown of Excalibur, and man, the math that gets involved with some of these skills, damage, pass through, it's a mathematician's wet dream. So yeah, if you really do enjoy the build crafting aspect and the mathematical aspects behind build crafting, this is something that you will have plenty to satiate you for. Like I said, to me, I love the build crafting variety. I'm not too much as far as on the math stuff, but man, it is really cool that all of it is available, and that somebody who is much smarter than me can break it down and tell me in the ways that I need to know. So, yeah, that's wonderful. All right, so moving on beyond that, the storytelling, the cinematic cutscenes, the music, the lore. I don't want to dive too deep into this today, but yeah, the overall story of this game is super compelling. As I have said before, there is so much you get to experience, basically paradoxes in between the world that you live in and a world that you don't live in, kind of simultaneously, and all of these things clash and collide. There are people who worship greed, which I have plenty of my own thoughts on that. There is a race of people that basically wanted to control with power, known as the Orican. It's super duper awesome. As soon as I got to the point of the new war and beyond, everything is just so good. There is not a quest that I did not like that came to the main story quests, at least. And a lot of the side content, the side quests, are just as good as some of the main story content, and it's absolutely amazing. A huge shout out that I have to say to this game is whoever does their music, because their music is just incredible. I don't want to spoil Cetus for anybody who hasn't played the game yet, but I will go ahead and just do a small snippet of a side quest from Call of the Tempest Starry and just listen to how incredible this music is.
So it's into the void, now me girls and me boys, from mother's hands we go. We'll be sailing to the sun till the voyage is done, then we'll be sleeping in the cold below. Sisters below, below, we're going where the winds don't blow. Yes, we're all bound down to the deep, and we'll all be sleeping in the cold below, below, sleeping in the cold below. Our sailing ships for the hard and the quick, we roll our load and go. There's a living to be made, or there's hell to pay when you're sleeping in the cold below. Sisters below, below, we're going where the winds don't blow. Yes, we're all bound down to the deep, and we'll all be sleeping in the cold below, below, sleeping in the cold below.
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff, right? Yep, not to mention that, we've only really talked about a lot of the main game so far, and there's just a bunch of side content and activities that are available for you to do, such as hunting, where you can find all of these different animals, hunt them down, get different tags. You can also use them to breed, to get new pets and companions. There's also mining, where you can go through and mine different types of ore. To be honest, this part was kind of a little frustrating to me when I was trying to farm the necromech, but beyond that, kind of relaxing. There's fishing. There's a kind of... I don't really know what the fishing is for other than kind of ranking up standing, but I'm sure that there's some sort of point that I'm missing on that. There's also kind of a dating simulator that happens inside of the most recent main story update of 1999. I really don't know what that's all about, but it's kind of cool and it's kind of fun, and it's super random that it's in here, but it's awesome that it's in here at the end of the day. Not to mention there's an entirely different kind of it seems to be entirely optional, but there's this thing called Railjack, and it's basically you being a space pirate with a whole ship, and it's got its entirely own solar system node and different missions to play. You can pull out your Arcwing in there, and that's kind of the futuristic jetpack that I had mentioned earlier on in the video. You also, earlier on in the game, at one of the first planets that you go to, get what is called your K drive, and this is basically the Tony Hawk's mini game that exists inside of here, where you can literally do grabs and flips and different stuff. It's pretty cool. It's not quite as fleshed out, as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or anything, but the fact that you can grind and do flips and all sorts of cool stuff is pretty awesome. And as I said, you get pets that you can have different sorts of companions. You can have a robot dog or a thing that follows you around. You can get different types of pets or cats, dogs. It's really cool. And if you make it to the most recent story update in 1999, you will end up getting yourself a motorcycle, which, let's face it, that is pretty freaking sweet. Then, not to mention, as I said before, you also have the in-game marketplace that is available to you, and you can go through here and buy different weapons and warframes and different slots and all sorts of different things that are in here. The customization options for you and your warframe is incredible. This is what I believe the community refers to as fashion framing, and it's pretty awesome. There's so much cool stuff involved in here. One notable thing that I would love to point out about the marketplace is what is called this Tenno section. And so the Tenno is apparently something done where creators actually, who are fans of the game, go in and they will model these particular things, and Warframe will sell their designs, and the creators actually get a cut of that revenue. As I said, these developers are freaking awesome, man. It's so cool to see what this game has done for its community, by its community. And speaking of the community, it's just incredibly helpful. I've had tons of people pop in on stream while streaming this game who are helpful. I've been gifted things by viewers, which is just awesome. And yeah, there is so much customization that you can do. I don't have obviously a lot of this stuff available, but I will go ahead and throw up some footage of somebody who did a beautiful decoration of their orbiter, which is kind of your spaceship that you do all of your crafting in and figure out where to fly through. It's just absolutely incredible. So yeah, my overall thoughts on this game. Talk about something special, y'all. It really is. I can't wait to see what else is in store for me. I have so much opened up and available that I am really looking forward to delving into. So, yeah, well, that pretty much sums up most of my thoughts on Warframe. I mean, I'm sure I could say a lot more, but, maybe y'all can stop into the streams and ask away on any questions that you may have. But I'm stoked because I know that there's still a ton more to cover in this game. I appreciate y'all for staying and watching the video if you stayed throughout the entire thing. I'm sorry for the quality if it's not the best. I haven't edited a video in at least 15 years. Like I said, new to the whole content creation thing, so like, comment, and a sub would be appreciated, but I appreciate y'all spending the time with me here today. Pop on in and watch me journey from a baby Tenno to hopefully the Tenno that you all know that I can be on stream. So yeah, come on in, hang out. I appreciate y'all for spending some time with me today. I love y'all. God loves you more. And I'll see you on the next time. Peace.